Natasha, hello Natasha. Yes, I can see you, Natasha. All right, welcome back everybody. There's a lot of information, a lot have been covered. Do you all agree? How many of you have heard me say time in the market beats timing the market? So a student brought me this and said, time in the community beats timing the community. I love it. Who was that gave me that? Oh, he's not there. He missed out. Should have been in the room. Sorry? Need some help? Just getting some help. Okay. All right, no problem. Where's he sitting? Right here. There's 100. So you need to start counting your money and how much you've got for your rewards. For those who haven't. Those giving reviews, you get money. Thank you. All right. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm thinking. How many of you recently joined the Zoom with me live and I did the Zoom, right? What I'm thinking is, because looking at time to make sure we are finishing on time and everything, would it be beneficial? I think it would be, but I'm asking you what you think. Would it be beneficial, rather than me just looking at 2 or 3 trades, would it be beneficial to allocate 2 hours and jump on a Zoom live and we look at stocks, your MOS, GTs, your AI, GEOs and all that? Would it be beneficial if I jumped on a Zoom over the next couple of weeks and we just look at these stocks and just purely talk about the stocks, look at doing options, deep in the money, whatever we can do? Would that be okay? Would you be okay with that? That we just jump on? I'll allocate an evening and we all just jump on, not just us here, but everybody that's not in the boot camp as well, so they can benefit. And then that way, before expiry, we can look at them and go, okay, can we go out? So for example, let me just show you this on my screen before I introduce the next guest speaker. Let me just show you this. NCLH, Norwegian Cruise Liners. Yes? Some of you have a break even of 17, but some of you have a break even of 23. Right? So here is a stock that's come down. Now, if we look at the IV, it's at 35. Can all of you see the 35 IV? If we go, now let's look at the stock and the chart. Looking at the chart, can you all see it was going up, it's come down, yes? It's now starting to come towards the 17 moving average. Can we all see that? Now, we've sort of got a double bottom here and we've got support at this level. Can you all see that? So it's hit the support, and that's not a double bottom, that's too far, but we've hit the support down here, and now it's starting to come back up. And I feel it'll come down a little bit before it starts to shoot up to 21, then it'll come back down, and then shoot up again. So that's NCLH. But let me ask you this. For those of you who have a break even of 17, between 1730 and 1774, in that 17 range, can we, for the next 5 days, do an 1850? So you got a 17, break even, in the 17s, or even if you went to 19 for the next 5 days. It's paying between 17 and 23 cents. So listen to this spread. 17 to 23. So do you all agree the middle is 20? So 20 cents on a $18 stock is just on 1%. Hi, how are you? Take $50, 100 off that. 200. Hiding it. No, don't take all the money. Just take one. Leave the other two there. All right, you can have that one. Nothing happened. So can you see if we can do a 19 and get 1% on that $17 break even, it's better than nothing, isn't it? Now, for those of us who might have a 23 break even, at 23, we don't have much premium. So 23 or 24. Not much premium. There's about 12 cents in it. Okay? There's about 12 cents in it. If we go to the 26th of December. But in this instance here, what I would say next week to then look at making a decision as to what to do. Does everyone follow that? 1 second. On S. So some of you have a break even in what the coaches have been given while you're coaching with them. Anywhere from 18, 19, 80, around that price. The stock's at 16. The stock is at 16. We've got an IV of 67. Right? We're 19. Even if we go out an extra week, make it 4. You've got a break even of 19. The stock's at 16. You could go to 20. You could do a 21 call. So those of you, you could do a 21 call for a month and get about 25 cents. Would that be okay? If you can get it. Something's better than nothing. Now, the coaches and the office is when is the 23rd? It's a Tuesday. So coaches and the office day is 23rd December. We were looking at the 19th, but I thought 19th is the third Friday of expiry, so we're going to come back Monday to help you. So, of the week of expiry, on that Monday and Tuesday, the 22nd and the coaches have been instructed to literally look at positions and look at rights for a month out, no short term. So that way, over Christmas and New Year, you don't have to worry about them up or the market is down, because over Christmas, New Year, usually history shows markets tend to do nothing anyway, just up and down a little bit, one day up, one day down. So let's do an option on stocks that you bought out to when is expiry in January. Marie Cosgrove is asking, can she please get back into, she's locked out. She just sent me a text. January, the third Friday is the 16th. So when is the last day of the office and coaches? When's the last day? 23rd. The coaches come back. The office comes back the week after. That week on the 12th is the 16th, being the third Friday. You have 2 more weeks for coaches before expiry. So on the 22nd, 23rd, after the third Friday after expiry, we're going to be looking at writing options up until the 16th of January. Is that right?
I don't want to hear George or Greg or Heather or Stephen, but I can do a contract for the income. If you want to do that, that's fine. Easy. That way it's a set and forget. Contract until the 16th, and then when the coaches are back, review. Has it gone up? Can we close out? Can we roll? Can we do all that sort of stuff? Follow. That way you get peace of mind. You don't have to go, oh, the coaches are online. What do I do? Just do a contract for the month and let it go. Because in January, when you're doing weeklies, you'll make more. February, March, just for the same, let's just do a monthly option, let it go. Zoomers, does that make sense? Now, I'm on pins, I'm on AI, I'm on SIS2. So what I will do is I will review these stocks on the 23rd. So from now until the 23rd, I'll be honest with you. But the week after, or the week after that, may on the Monday or the Tuesday, even if it's the week after I just finished, do a Zoom to jump on with me. Limited. My Zoom account's unlimited. I can bring you all on and you can look at it. And I'll give you time to text me. Actually, I'll give you time to email me, not text me, with anything you have specifically on your trades. Then what we will do, we'll collate all them. People who are on PINs, people who are on S, people on GEO, people on AI, and I can look at where everyone is and then I can review. It's going to take a lot out of me. I'm happy to do that. So we're not wasting that time now doing it. We can go through other things. Is everyone okay with that? Are we good with that? Good. And then you get to see me for a few hours at night. So during December, January, the question, there be stock choices? I'm going to be honest with you. There may be, if there's something worth giving when we're close, but it will be conditioned on that you do this on your able to do it on your own. Okay? Market recaps that I do won't be coming out every day, but I will do them where I can. Is everyone okay? And the stock choices, if I do find when I scan, because bear in mind, the team that I need to upload and do all that sort of stuff, they're going to be away. So I would be relying on help upload it because I don't get involved in it. Okay? So, yes, there are opportunities. And then what I will do in January, because from the 6th of January to the end of I'm in Greece. And so I get back in February, and that's why I've allowed about a week just to come back on the ground with the office and stuff like that. So that's why if you read my, I said the 9th of February, around there was my first day back, to give me a week just to catch up with everything. Okay? So Roy's asking about pins. Yes, I will look at pins. I'm in pins, so there will be pins as well. Okay? There's no point in putting it into the chat. What I'd like to do now, so there's a student in the room to come and do this course, and she's come and done the course. She also is a presenter and also presents on stages and has clients that she teaches and also has referred our strategy to us. And I've been meeting up with this amazing lady, and she thinks that you can improve in the organisation from starting up and all that sort of stuff. She give you some ideas, and I said, great, because I'm more old-fashioned. Everything I do scan the markets. I physically manually scan the markets. School in that. And she said, you offer is amazing, but I don't think your students actually get what you're trying to teach them. So I don't want to go into too much, then I want to introduce this amazing student. I want her to talk for about 45 minutes, and then we're going to do a little Q&A session. And then I'll tell you what we're thinking about doing and what we're planning to do from there. So is everyone okay with that? Her name is Selena. Give her a round of applause. Selena, can you come up? And let's welcome Selena to the stage. Welcome, Selena. Thank you. Yes, and you want your presentation. And it's that. Oh, there you go. It's your hearing. Do you need anything else?
No.
Are you good?
Can I?
Where is the clicker? It's right here.
That is why I happen to have one in my back.
Welcome, because you were going to present. And I usually have two. I usually brought a different bag. So, thank you, everybody. I'm going to pass it over to Celine, and I'm going to sit and now listen.
So I know that this is the time of the day to present because everyone's really tired, but I'm very grateful me get up on stage. I know it's actually a huge deal that you're sort of getting to know, but to trust them with, I think there's a lot of anxiety in the world right now about money and wealth. We've got presidents and world wars, and we kind of actually understand, well, in the context of what we're doing here, and so what I actually wanted to today, I've shared a few ideas, and George has been fantastic about how do we get into the detail of how these trades work. What I want to do is I want to kind of zoom back up to a 60,000 foot view idea of how does this trading game fit and what you're trying to achieve with your life. And to give it to George, he and I had some fantastic philosophical life and money. And, he very is today. So that's what I want to do. So it would be useful to start is of surveys about how do people feel about the matter is, and I've worked with some ultra high net worth individuals and suffer anxiety around money. This one's most interesting to me. Even people over $100,000 a year stressed about their finances. And so, what George, I think that I kind of want to explore today is your relationship with money affects everything, and yet it's not that important. So we've heard sort of both day. So, about what is the point of education? I thought about what I wanted to share today, and I suspect that some part of it you've heard, you haven't heard it in the context that I'm going to share. But this guy was by Alfred Adler, and he was a psychologist in the 20s and 30s. He spoke about this idea that the point of education is twofold. The first point of education is to increase self-reliance. And that's probably why a lot of people hate school, because schools aren't really teaching self-reliance. And the second point of education is change your behaviours so that you get different outcomes. And the thing you to think about is, when you're learning something, think about the things you learn actually change your behaviour. So I wanted to share 3 ideas today. I hope will shift the way that you think. Right about this clicker not really working. So these are my 3 big ideas I want to share. So that's George. I don't know why that's. These are the 3 big ideas. I can see there's something going on with your computer, isn't there? Yeah. I want to talk about why we're not getting wealthier. So the whole idea is that you work really hard. You hope that the generation that comes after you gets the benefit of that, and then that gets the benefit of that. And I've heard a couple of people talk about legacy today, so I want to actually talk why we are not getting wealthier as Aussies. The second part is, how do you actually know if you're getting ahead? Like if you have a great relationship from a health point of view with money. I want to talk about how do you tip the scales in your favour. So, something going on with this computer because I think you're... And
you've locked me out.
Yeah, the thing locked out, sorry.
Sometimes you've got to double click to get the next slide.
Yeah, I'm just going to give up on the clicker.
How about I just sit here and I can look good with you.
There you go.
1 second.
So I'm going to go there. I'm going to start there.
All right.
So I actually wanted to talk really briefly about why this work matters to me, and I thought George might appreciate this photo because it's in Corfu. So we actually migrated from the UK when I was 9 years old, and we came via Corfu. It was my very first family holiday. And when we arrived in Australia, we had a few suitcases and not much else. And about 6 months after we arrived, my dad was diagnosed with 6 months to live. And the reason I share that with you is because what happened to him was that he changed overnight. He went from being this really jokey, happy-go-lucky sort of guy into someone who was obsessed with money. Like, he was so stressed all the time. And as a 9-year-old, what that did to me was make me go, I don't want that. And I think consciously what I decided was that I wanted to put myself in a situation where I would have a relationship with money. So I'm very echoey, aren't I? I basically became an accountant. I became a certified property investment advisor. I really got in the trenches around money and wealth, and I've spent the last 25 years not only trying to learn how to create income, but how to build wealth, and probably, for me, most importantly, how to have a really good relationship with money. Because what I wanted, I didn't want what I saw happen to my father. So we can skip this one. I don't know why it went backwards and forwards. Keep going. Yep, keep going. All right, so...
As you're clicking, I don't know why it's doing it. You've got to click twice. There you go.
Yeah, I saw that. So I want to actually unpack the problems that I see and I hear all the time. So the first thing that I want to talk about is impatience. So we all want results yesterday. And the other thing that happens is people think results are linear. People think that there's this nice, smooth line to success. And the problem with that is it really colours the way that we make decisions. I think as well, we all have very short time horizons. The natural tendency is to really look at what is happening today, how do I take action today, rather than lifting your eyes and gazing at the horizon and saying, this is what I want. So we're really focused on the short game. One of the things that we all do is we make loss really personal. So when something bad happens, what we do is we say, well, the system doesn't work, there's something wrong with me, or I'm unlucky. And what happens is that people just give up really quickly. They say that that's not for me, investing not for me, trading's not for me. And, basically loss ends up scarring them for life. And ultimately what people are really worried about is that they're going to fall short, that they're going to put all this effort and they're going to spend resources and they're going to get excited only to basically fall short and end up in a life that they don't really feel fulfilled about. But I think the opportunity here, if you can think about how do I change my thinking and my behaviours, that there's a lot of opportunities. And the first one is that instead of feeling like you're in a rush to get a particular outcome, you start thinking in terms of how do I create a rhythm around the way that I think and behave with money. Because when you're in motion, there's always things to do. Like, I think about what needs to be done on it, like whether I'm trading or not trading or doing an investment or a property deal, I'm thinking about cadence. So it becomes a bit like drumming. I think also when you start to look ahead, it gives context to the actions that need to be taken now. Instead of actually putting yourself in a situation where loss becomes part of your identity, you actually start to digest it and think about losses as a way to adapt and to, improve your behaviour. Because I think ultimately what we all want is we want to be in flow so that we can actually end up in this life that we really love. So I want to talk for a minute now about why I'm not getting any wealthier. I speak to so many people, and one of the first things they say to me about why they want to be wealthy is it's so I can leave my money to the kids, or I can leave something behind for my kids, or I want to look after my community, or I want to be able to look after my parents or have an impact in some way. Who remembers these guys? So this guy in the middle, do you remember who this is? You don't remember? Take That?
Oh, is that Take That?
Yeah, Robbie Williams. But do you remember this guy here? Gary Barlow. So,
hold on a second. Wait, that looks like you ain't there.
So Gary Barlow, for those of you who aren't old enough to remember, was the lead singer of Take That, which was a huge boy band in the 90s. And he earned tens of millions of dollars. He had, screaming, adoring fans. He would fill arenas. And at the height of his career, he talked about money like it was just never going to run out. And I think they were up to their, I don't know how many platinum albums. Basically, at the peak of their success, Take That broke up. And he described years later sitting in his home feeling completely ashamed. He'd basically, running through his money, he was now in a situation where he had no income and he was completely broke. Fortunately for him, he started again. But the reason I share that story is he's a perfect example of someone who thought income was the goal and then found that it went out, there was no safety net for him at all. So I actually want to draw a little bit of a picture, yes. Because, as I said, a lot of people talk about legacy, but not many people understand how to actually create it. So if you think about money and time, and if this point here represents when we enter the workforce, and we all come into work, whatever you're doing, whether you're running a business or you're in a job, understanding loosely that we're supposed to go out into the world and somewhat create a nest egg for our future.
The recording has stopped.
So we have this idea that if this represents retirement, and retirement could be 25 years old, it could be 45 years old, it could be 95 years old, like whatever that word means to you, but it's basically, by definition, and you no longer have to depend on active income. That's essentially what I'm talking about. So we know that we're supposed to, at some point, have this nest egg. Now, we also know that we're going to have these things that go up over time called living expenses. And we come into the workforce and we're starting to build the nest egg. For some people, it's just, I'm going to stick some money into super, that's it. But for other people who go, no, I want to speed things up a bit, I'm going to maybe buy an investment property or I'm going to invest in shares, whatever, they will sometimes, especially here in Australia, they will tolerate the idea that maybe you start negative cash flow. And the hope is that by the time they hit retirement, that the income stream coming off this nest egg here is at least equal to their living expenses.
This meeting is being recorded.
So that's the hope. The dream is this. The dream is that there's a positive gap, meaning there is more income coming in assets than you need to live. Unfortunately, my experience is that this is the reality for most Australians. That there is a negative gap between their living expenses and the income stream coming off their assets. And if you are in that unlucky position where your income stream is less, what do you have to do? What are your choices? Keep working? Or there's an expression that I like to use called eat the cow. You've basically got no choice but to sell down your assets. So let's assume this represents death. Your hope, if you're in that position, is that you will be able to sell down these assets and that they will at least last you until you kick the bucket. Now, obviously, this is difficult because you don't actually know when you're going to die. The reality looks something more like this, meaning people will run through their capital before they die, and I call this line dependency, because you will either then revert to relying on your kids or your community or the government, whatever that looks like. And the hope that these people have is something like this, that you will end up in a situation where when you kick the bucket, there's something to leave over for the kids or the community or the family. And so the reason I'm sharing this with you today is let's assume that you are on this hope line here. just for now. I'll do this in another colour. Let's imagine this is you. When you hit retirement, if the income stream coming off your assets is at least enough to cover your lifestyle, and you can at least kind of, maybe you're not as aggressive, but maybe you keep your assets above that horizontal line, this is where legacy lives. If you can leave behind a pool of assets that is generating more income than you need to live, you do not have to eat the cow. That is how you create legacy. Because I can tell you now, who's heard of kids inheriting multi-million-dollar portfolios that they can't afford to carry, that they have to liquidate to sell, and grandkids start again? The statistics around this are irrefutable. It's something like 95%. So if we genuinely want to give ourselves the best possible chance of putting ourselves in the situation where we actually create true financial legacy, this is the kind of game that we need to play. So I just want to give you that for context so that you can understand the next part. So the metaphor that I want you guys to walk away with today, and it's really the heart of my message, is that if you imagine that your financial well-being is a bucket and you have money, which is income and water, pouring into the top of this bucket, and we think that the best way to get a better financial outcome is to just put more water into the bucket. But the reality is we all have massive holes in the way that we think, the way that we act, the decisions that we make, the biases, the things we inherited from our parents. And if we don't actually think about how to plug those holes, more income doesn't necessarily solve the problem. And the ultimate game that we're all playing is we want to fill our bucket with water, plug these holes to the degree that there is an overflow. That's what we want. We want an overflow. And the only way you can get overflow is either by massively working yourself to death and just filling the bucket faster than the leaks that you have. But if we don't fill the leaks, it doesn't actually matter how much we earn. It becomes a very challenging proposition. And I've given you some examples. These are just some examples. There are hundreds of leaks that you could have. People who confuse income with wealth. And George has done a really good job of talking about this morning. He said several times, this is an income strategy. But the game that you want to start thinking about is, as and when you start building up your income, how do you convert it into wealth? They've got no money systems. They have lifestyle creep, meaning they start to celebrate the idea that they're earning more, so the cost of their lifestyle just blows out. They have unrealistic expectation of what they can achieve. Blind spots, cognitive and psychological blind spots that they just can't see. They've got no plan or a bad plan. They can't assess risk. This is a big one. People who don't know how to digest loss. They just make it mean something completely different. They don't know how to manage debt. They pay too much tax. You get the idea. And so the game that I'm really, thanks George, that I'm really encouraging people to consider is you need to not only evaluate leaks, but you can start to organise them. So the way that I kind of create content in my own community is I help people organise how to understand those leaks. And in my opinion, there are 4 categories of leaks. The first one is stewardship, which is when money comes into your world, do you actually know how to care for it? Do you have a money management system? Do you allocate capital? How do you look after it? Are you a good steward? The second pillar of effective wealth building is acuity. And acuity just means when you're thinking about buying assets or investments, are you good at evaluating them? You know the difference between a good deal and a bad deal? Do you know how to actually, do due diligence on a deal, or do you just blindly go into it? Because again, I've worked with really high income earners who are terrible at this and they don't give it much time, and so they end up holding mindset. This is how do we think about money? You know, is there a scarcity mentality? You know, are we generous with it? Do we feel in pain around money? Have we identified all the things that make us feel good or bad about money? And funnily enough, like, you could be worth $100 million and you could still feel poverty. You can still experience poverty. So then it's not about the number. And then the final one is knowledge. Now for me, knowledge is an interesting one. It's a function of structured learning, wisdom. So how good are you at extracting from learnings? And every single leak fits into one of these. And so when you are thinking about, like, how do I kind of lift my game around wealth building, it's really about identifying the leaks and then putting them into one of these buckets. And I want to leave you with this idea: income pays the bills, but wealth buys you freedom. And I'm going to explain before I finish, but I want to really give context to why the opportunity that George is giving you is so incredible. So the second idea that I want to share with you is, how do you actually know whether you're winning with money? How do you actually know if you're healthy? So this is a couple that I worked with. He was a Sparky, really great business, very successful. He had a beautiful house, swimming pool, 2 beautiful daughters. But when he came to see me, he was in a lot of financial pain. He knew that he had spent the last 20 plus years of his career spending up big. He had given all his money to a financial planner. The financial planner had kind of done his own thing. And he'd come to this point where he knew he only had a few years before he was going to retire, and it just wasn't where he thought it would be. And he was going to have to either sell a house or, you know, figure out how to rein in his spending in a big way. He had no idea how to measure the health of his financial well-being other than to talk about his net worth and his income. And both those things have been relatively high. But I want to kind of share with you some ideas around how you might look at your money health in a different way. So there's this concept called Henry, high earners not rich yet. And I have met so many Henrys. And Henrys are basically people who, they earn great money and it just slips through their fingers. They think they're sort of, you know, they've got their eye on the idea of wealth building, but they're not actually letting the rubber hit the road. And so what happens is, most of us are just hoping our way or feeling our way through life in terms of whether or not we're doing well. And so I wanted to share with you a couple of ideas today. And I sort of have alluded to this already, but net worth by itself is a vanity metric. If you have a pool of assets, but you can't rely on it or depend on it, or if your biggest, most expensive asset is in your home and you can't obviously extract an income from that, then you are in trouble. So you need more than just net worth or income as a means of measuring success. You actually need a series of instruments. So I have 6, if you like, KPIs that make up a dashboard, and I want to share one of them today. Because the reality is there is, that's okay, just however they come up now. Yeah. There was a book written by a couple of guys maybe 30 years ago called The Millionaire Next Door. Has anyone read it? It's a great book. I highly recommend you read it. And one of the things they showed after interviewing hundreds of millionaires is that there is no correlation between the income that you earn and the wealth that you generate. And they came up with this really cool formula which really can sort of just help you understand. Excuse you.
Stop it.
I'm just jumping ahead. All right, so I've called it the wealth health quotient. So the genesis comes from that book, but I've kind of twisted it and kind of Frankensteined it into my own. So if you jump to this slide. So, hello? kicking.
Can you talk? Can I talk?
Can you hear me?
What's happened? Where David gone? I'm on.
Can you hear on Zoom?
Zoomers, can you hear?
Yep.
Yes.
I think the speakers have just stopped working. Okay.
That's working. The front one's up. And I'm not. Oh, yes, I am. Turn myself off.
So this formula kind of comes from the book, but as I've said, I've twisted it a little bit. But the first step in working out your wealth health quotient is to take the average age in your household, multiply it by the gross household income before tax, so total income in the household, and divide it by 5. And that gives you your expected net worth. I'm going to go through some examples so that you actually understand how this works. Basically, once you have your expected net worth, then you actually compare that to what your net worth actually is. So for example, if your formula spits out that given the income that you have and your age, that your net worth should be $1 million, and you go, oops, my net worth's only 500,000, then your quotient is half. And if formula spits out that you should have a net worth of $1 million and you're $5 million net worth, then your quotient is 5 and you are on fire. And I'll explain to you in a moment, the reason that this is the great equaliser is it takes into consideration all the different things that people have. Like it basically allows you to compare apples with apples. So I want to run you through some examples. So keep going. So George over here, he's 41. He's got 143,000 in income and 12,000 in dividends. His wife is also 41. So his expected net worth is 41 multiplied by the 155 divided by 5. So it's 1.271. Is everyone following? This one, Mildred, she's 62, same income, divided by 5. She should have a net worth of 1.922. You might as well press it once more. Okay, so let's talk about a high profession handicap. So you've got Dr. Jerry Spendelot. He's a medical doctor. He has a before household income of 550. His expected net worth is 55 by 550 divided by 10. So it should be 6 million. His actual net worth is 2.1. Quotient is only 0.36. Is everyone following that? Jessica Frugale is an ambulance driver. She has $55,000 in income. She should have an expected net worth of 462, but she's actually got a net worth of 1.1. So her quotient is 2.4. Oh, I think I've made an error when I was typing it up. Sorry, it is 5, sorry. It should be 5. But the point I'm making is what's really interesting is when I do this calculation for people who are high income earners, often have a lower quotient than people who are lower income earners, but they're much more careful with their money. Went past my big fat panda. There it is. So one of the things I want to kind of draw attention to is this idea of the big fat lazy panda. So a lot of investors carry these big fat lazy pandas. Now it could be your personal place of residence. It could be investment properties that you have in your portfolio that are just not performing. They're consuming resources, they're not growing, they're not doing much for you, or any investment for that matter. And one of the things I say to people is don't be too quick to pat yourself on the shoulder and say, I've got a great health quotient. When in actual fact, if you took your home out of the number, it would be horrible. It's not to say you can't use the capital in your home to grow your net worth, but I just want to be saying, well, these big fat lazy pandas can drag you down and they can give you a false sense of security. So the question I'm really asking you to think about is, are you where you want to be? Now, most people have no clue what their net worth is. Most people don't know it off the back of their hands. So that would be an exercise for you to do after this. I also want to say measure the right things. And this is really important. If you are in the luxurious position of having a high income, it gives you a competitive edge, but it doesn't guarantee freedom. I have witnessed time and time and time again people who earn great money and they just have a big rope around their neck. I'm just not going to stand near you. They have a big rope around their neck. So don't be fooled into thinking that just because you get the hang of this trading, you earn a shit ton of money, that's going to absolutely guarantee freedom, because it absolutely does not. It gives you a type of freedom, but not in the sense that you can just stop trading. So I think this is really the missing piece that I want to really focus on, is if you want to create legacy and freedom, and when I say freedom, I'm talking about 3 currencies: time, money, but the third one is influence, impact, influence. So if you want to create those things, then you actually have to learn the art of converting income into assets. So I want to talk just briefly about how are we going to tip the odds in your favour. Oh, there's a little video I wanted to play. Yeah, it's 60 seconds.
Just look at what he's doing. Competing against 10 players simultaneously. That in itself is not extraordinary, but Magnus cannot see the boards. He's facing the other way. So he has to keep track of the positions of 320 pieces blind. And the number of possible moves, infinite. Magnus comes out on top.
It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Do you have any idea how extraordinary this looks to?
No, it's one of the...
Yep. So I want to just talk for a moment about chess as another great metaphor. So chess is one of those games where, you know, they can be drawn out over many hours, and then there's also people who can checkmate you in 2 moves. And I think it's a great parallel to money and wealth. You know, infinite numbers of moves, and, you know, people do it really effortlessly, and some do it the really hard way. And I think about chess from the context of when I was 7 and my dad taught me chess. I sort of would have these flashes of brilliance, but mostly I was just experimenting. And when I actually went into a real comp, I was just crushed. I just had no idea what I was doing. And I think a lot of people do that around money and wealth building. It's kind of, let me just throw a whole lot of stuff at the wall and see what sticks. And the truth of the matter is there are a lot of people right now who are saying, I've created a multi-million-dollar portfolio of whatever assets or property or wealth, but there's been a great degree of luck in that as well. They're not necessarily being strategic about that. And I've met people, investors, who are thinking 10 moves ahead. They're not making impulsive investment decisions on the fly. So I think this idea of how can we be more strategic in the way that we move our money from trading into other investments is also really, really important. So I want to talk for just a second about this idea of the anatomy of a plan. And no offence to anyone in the room that is a financial planner, they have their place. But what I'm really encouraging everyone in the room to consider is that nobody, and I mean this, nobody cares about your money as much as you do. So what you need to do when you're thinking about your own wealth journey is you need to really take charge and control of what you do with your money. And where people get really lost is in, they get flustered about the idea of how do I get from where I am to where I want to be. And so I want to just kind of break it down in terms of the plan, because then when you understand the anatomy of every single plan, then you can start to actually formulate your own. So if this is you, and this is like where you are today, the question you're asking is, what have I got? Like, what have I got to play with today? The second question, and you know, George has kind of touched on this morning, is where do I want to be? And people get really lost in this. And part of the challenge with wealth building is people are really loosey-goosey about it. And they say something like, well, when I can play golf twice a week and I can have Monday mornings to go for a start and then maybe I can spend time with my dog on Saturday, then, that's what freedom looks like for me. And that's actually a description of what life might be like. And that's what this vision board is really about. When we're talking about how do you build out a plan, my very strong opinion is you need to be a little more concrete, because what happens is if you're not concrete about it, what happens is the goalposts move. You kind of get a little way along the way and you go, actually, I want to move that. So the way that I like to describe where is it that we want to be, think of it like an A plus B plus C. When these three things are present, that will be success in the context of this first plan. And that's not to say you won't have, further goals that you set, but it might be when my mortgage is paid off, when my kids are through school, and when I have $100,000 a year coming in passive income, that's where I want to be. So I'm talking about being very specific about that. And I like the 3 condition type definition. So you're asking yourself, how do I get from here to here? So the other things that you will need is you will need to at least guesstimate what fuel can you supply. The other question you need to answer is what milestones along the way are going to cause friction or affect my plan. So an example of this, if you're someone who says, well, I want to, at this point here, take a 3-month sabbatical, that might have a financial impact. If you have a wedding here, that might have a financial impact. The final thing that you want to put around all of this is by when. So if you can answer, where am I today? Where do I want to be? How much fuel do I think I can add? Are there any milestones that are going to affect this? By when? That's the bones of a plan. The only question for you to think about is what vehicle or vehicles or strategies am I going to need to consider to get there? And then that's the journey of exploration about investing. Do I like real estate? If so, why? How will it work? Do I like crypto? Great. How will that work? But if you can't answer these few things, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of the anatomy. If you go to the next slide, the next one, that's it. What have you got? What do you want? By when? How much fuel can you supply? And what milestones are going to affect this? That's it. And so if you can start to shape this a little bit, put a little bit more depth around it, and then start to think about, well, what are the stepping stones that are going to get me there? But without this, people are just here and they're just blindly wandering up and down. The number of people who buy an investment property because they hear that that's the right thing to do, but they're not doing it within the context of what kind of property? What are my expectations? Am I speculating? Am I going to value add? Do I need to think about development? It's a bigger question. So I'm actually challenging you. Have you ever actually sat down and actually said, what is it that I want, by when, financially? Or are you just hoping things will work out someday? And I will tell you this, high income earners come and speak to me, and they don't have the answers to those 5 questions. They have no idea what they have. They have no idea about how they're going to tackle the massive mortgage that they took on just because the bank said they could afford it. They have no idea what they should be aspiring to. They think because they earn $1 million a year that having a $10 million mortgage is okay. They're just thinking they're going to arrive. And I've seen too many people get close to the finish line and end up with fractures that are irrecoverable. So this is my metaphor for you cannot ask somebody to lose weight for you. If you went to someone and said, lose weight for me, they would laugh at you. And so we need to take this same thinking to our money as well. Yep. So I have one last picture that I want to draw for you. If this is you and your financial situation today, so this is today, and you think about what the future looks like, and remember I talked about 3 currencies: money, time, and impact, or influence, whichever word you like. You might say that at some point in the future, this is what an epic outcome looks like. I've got tons of free time out in the world. I'm making that I want. I can support my kids. I'm a leader in my community. Life is good. I'm investing in all the adventures that I want. That's what epic might look like for you. Maybe down here you've got, and good might be maybe a step down from that. Like, okay, maybe I've got somewhere comfortable to live. I've paid for my kids' schooling. Life's okay. I don't get to have many luxury holidays, but I feel pretty good. This might be bad. Bad might be I've still got a mortgage. I don't really know if I'm going to have enough money to leave behind for the kids, but I've got enough to get through retirement, got a bit of money in super, whatever that looks like. And then I like to call this one poop. So if you're in the poop, it's diabolically bad. Like maybe you're renting, you're going on the pension, just everything's turned to custard. Like the thing that I really want to drive home about any of these futures is that go from here to here, or even from here to here, or from here to here, or here to here, at this end of your life, it's almost impossible. For you to do it at this end or at an earlier stage, it's much, much easier, right? It's not a big jump to make. So the only question that you want to ask yourself is, do you want to wait before you start challenging yourself? Am I on the right line here? And I have some things that I want to say about George and his program, but how I see George's community and George's program fitting into this is George not only helps you get to epic, but he adds speed. Income is a luxury, and income with the capacity to scale your time is an even bigger luxury that people don't have. And so for me, this is how George gets into your wealth plan, is he's going to add speed, certainty. My job in the work that I do is just to help you get to this line, but George is what adds speed. Yay, George. So I did actually have a couple of things I wanted to say specifically about George, and I did want to refer to my notes on this. Like, I can feel it in the conversations that I have with George that he does care about people's success to a fault. And I really want to underline this because I know George has said a lot this morning already, but I don't know that everyone grasps the enormity of what he brings to the table. And the reason I say that is that who runs their own business here? Who's ever bought a business? So does everyone loosely understand that the way that you value a business is as a multiple of the return that you can get, right? So you might pay 1 times profit or 5 times profit or whatever. And so for the price that George charges to effectively give you a business with infinite upside, the fact that he charges as little as he does is absolutely extraordinary. Like, I just really want to underline, I don't know that people understand the gravity of that. If this were a business that you were selling in the real world, and I know this is the world, George, but...
Fantasy. It's my cult community.
So one of the things I know that really affects George is when people feel frustrated about the speed of results. And so one of the things I wanted to really underline is that you've really got to manage expectations. You are coming into this world and seeing it from the lens that is kind of shared with you for the first time. And I know some of you have been here for many years and you're having great wins, which is phenomenal. Those people who are newer to the community, again, I love metaphors and I love images, but effectively I want you to imagine that you've got one of those big yellow plates that you see on learner stuck to your forehead. And in your first, you talk about a 5-year plan, right? Mm-hmm. So George is someone who's selling you his business and he's actually happy to stay in the business with you for 5 years and help you get the hang of it, understand the systems and the nuances. Because what I said earlier, simple, but it's not easy. So much nuance to everything. It's a simple strategy with a lot of nuance. And if you don't come in here with humility to recognise that this is new. It's going to take time. You're going to have you're going to have cuts and bruises. I can't even tell you. I haven't even shared many stories at all about myself, but I have had some whopping losses. Like I've had losses where I've lost my house.
In life, not with George.
Not with George. In life.
Let's just clarify that.
Yes. Yes. So where's
my wife to give me a kiss?
One of the things George does a great is he kind of sets this up for you, but I feel like from an expectation point of view, we all have to self-regulate. We have to recognise that this takes time. There are going to be setbacks. You do need patience. But if you can stay humble and stick with it, and that whole thing that I said before is people expect the results to be linear. They don't understand that there's a process of up and down, and I think that diagram you did earlier was really bang on. Mm. So, I really want to give credit where credit's due. This is going to take time, and I love this image.
Thank you.
Thank you, George.
Thank you very much.
I want to finish up with the story of my dad, which is where I started. So he got the diagnosis of, you've got 6 months. And then during that 6-month window, the hospital came to him and said, we've got this little bit of technology which may give you another 6 months. Do you want to try it? And he said, yeah, of course. So he took it and he survived 6 months. And then they said, well, you'll get another 6 months. So he did it again. And he ended up going on and living 30 years. Yeah. But the damage was done. Like the way it changed him after that initial diagnosis, he just never fully recovered. And so he would say things, when my kids finish school, then I'll be okay, I can relax. Or then he'd say, well, when my kids get married, then I'll relax. And then it became, when I see my grandkids. So he saw 4 grandkids. The reason I share that with you is because this work is so important. The point of education, guys, whether it's anything that I ever teach or anything that George teaches, is you've got to increase your self-reliance. And if you are learning and it doesn't change your behaviour, you have to ask yourself, have I really learnt something?
Does everybody understand that? Because we know you're frustrated. That's part of the game. It's part of the plan. Does that make sense? Because when we can have students come up here and say, I've quit my job in 2.5 years, all thanks to our George teachers and the education. If one person can do it, every single one of you can. So sometimes we need to look within as to what's holding us back before we look without or outside of us.
That's kind of where I want to end, which is really, the one thing I want you to take away from today is this idea that you have to find your, earning money and becoming a leader is kind of one side of the money journey. But if you learn how to convert that into assets that you can depend on down the track, it's really, you be a great trader, but you can never stop. And my comment to you is this. George talks about this world as an exit plan from your job, you say, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm actually saying add one more layer to that and think of it as an insurance policy against the craziness that's happening in the world right now. And when you pair that with the ability to start learning how to invest, build wealth, it makes you invincible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done. Selena. So, stop it. Stop it. Do you all understand, and credit to Selena, where she's coming from? We're building wealth and we're putting our time and effort in to have this pipeline that's going to feed us. But then once we've got the cash flow coming in, how do we have that buffer, that safety zone? So it's about diversification. It's not one strategy or the other. You all know that I started off with property, but I hit a brick wall with that. Couldn't get serviceability, banks wouldn't lend, property prices weren't going up as much. We have to wait for capital growth. Stock market gives cash flow. Take money out of property, put it into the stock market, it gives me cash flow. Now I've got cash flow. What do? I go back into the property, diversify. Do you all follow? So, the property over time is going to give me capital growth and income, but I can now live off this income and then use that to do other things with. Not just I sit on the stock market and that's all we do. We've got to do other things with it. You've got the cash flow coming in because life gets boring when you're sitting at home and all your friends are working and you're sitting there doing nothing. You know the word retire, and I've said this before, the G's don't even have the word retire because you want to retire, you're tired again. I don't want to get tired again. So thank you very much, Selena. There's going to be some more info that we'll talk with Selena that I want to give you, but what I want to do right now, just to make sure we do finish on time at about 10 o'clock tonight. Stop it. You got nowhere to go. No, I do. All right. Can I just do this? What were the two trades that we looked at? Who remembers those trades? CDE and Intel. Yes? Okay. Intel is paying what? 3% for 5 days. Let's look at Intel. Jeremiah placed the two trades in the account, correct? In fact, he cancelled one. But let's go back. But we will fix that up. So let's have a quick look at Intel. You can look at my screen. And I just want to cover something. What's the price of Intel? What was the price of Intel? 40.56, correct? So if we put 40.56, how many shares do you need to buy minimum? 100, yes? $4,056 US would be the minimum. True? Could we buy 200 of those? 300, and so on and so on. What if we bought 1,000? Jeremiah put an order in for 40,560 US. We're doing a strike price at 40.50. Was that correct? Yeah, 40.50. And at 40.50, it was paying between 135 and 145. So realistically, we'd want to go to 140, but we said 135. If it's paying 135, or I'll put it here, 135, and we're going to lose 6 cents, is this out of the money or in the money? Because the contract that we're creating for 5 days is lower than what we're buying it for. So it's in the money. So 135 minus a 6, we're left with 129. On 1,000 shares, Jeremiah's going to make $1,290 for the next week up front for 5 days. And how much time and effort did he put in? Was it INTC that you cancelled, Jeremiah, or was it the other one? The other one. Okay. It was the other one. Now, let's have a look at this. We did draw some trend lines. Can all of you see the trend? Now, we've got support at 35, but we've also got the moving average 17. Is the stock above the moving average 17? Good. Yes. Why 17? Why not 20? Because 17 is the magical number. Tell me why. Cherie, stop it. All right. Can we all have a look at this? I want to know if he really loves me. All right. We got resistance at 37, just under 37, and it's now broken out, correct? What if, here's where I'm getting at. What if we like this stock, but we're not sure? Zoomers, can you all hear me okay? Are we all good?
Put a label.
This is what I want you to think about, Zoomers especially, and all of you in here. What if we've got a nice big green day, but the stock may turn around and go back down? Could I consider, George, instead of going at the money, and okay, we're going to make $1,290, but could we go deep in the money and do this because the premium's quite good at that price? What if we went 2 or 3 strike prices lower? So if we're looking to buy the stock at 40.56, and we know we've got a support level at 35 and a resistance level that's now become a support at about 37, what if we did a 37 call option or a 38? 38 is paying between $2.90 and $3. So we know what they pay us before the market even opens, between $2 and $3. Is that spread close? Absolutely. If we go to a 38 and we do a 38 call and it's paying us $3, next 5 days, if we go to 38, is it paying? $2.90 to $3. Let's say $3. Right? We're going to go up a bit now. 40.56, 8. That's 256, isn't it? So you're going to be left with 44 cents. Is that correct? So we're going to make a 44-cent profit only, which is approximately 1% for a week. And if that turns around and shits itself and goes down, we've still got a buffer at 38 to get exercise the next 5 days. Who follows? So if I look at that, just like when we looked at stocks that were 10% higher from the moving average 50, if we look at those and go, okay, can I come down a couple of strike prices, 2 or 3, and still create a contract, still make money from day one, and if I can make at least 1% for the week, I'm in. Have we gone deep in the money? Yes.
Yes.
Zoomers, do you all follow that? Now, what if we went out for 3 weeks? What are they paying at $38 for 3 weeks? Between $3.55 and $3. Can you see for an extra 2 we're not making much? Can you all see that? Would we do that now? No, because it's not paying much. So this is where we go, okay, we can still do it for a week and make 1%. Implied volatility, 57% for 3 weeks. If we can do a 1% now, and if we don't get size now, look at this. If this stock dropped from 40.56 below $38, which is our strike price, we make the full, don't we? What's $3 on a 40.56 investment for the next 5 days on a stock that's dropping? What is it? 7.5? 7%. Who would be okay to make a 7% return on a stock that's falling? Head up front for it. Can we all ka-ching? No, with enthusiasm. Ka-ching! Good. Who called that out? Of course it is. You can have the Pam $200. Good. I think you guys are leading the game. Yeah. All right. So deep in the money, when I look at a stock, I think it might come down. I will also go deep in the money that I can get. If I can get at least 1% for a week, I'm in. Because something is better than nothing. Does that make sense? But think about this. Didn't you put the 40,500 like Joe has put in, and then this stock goes down. And now you've made $3,000 for the week. Who was that? There's 200 feet. Come on down. Right, this way. Do you all understand? And let's quickly do this. Well done, Sonia. Do you all understand? Actually, can we give a round of applause? Sonia's brought her daughter in, who's now also trading live, Montana. Artie's brought his son in. Well done, give them a round of applause. Anyone else? Yes. Who was our investor of the year last year, has brought her son in. Well done. And Tanya's brought Dexter in, her son in. Well done. Do you all agree for us to teach our kids the value of money and how to make money work for them instead of them working for it? Because we were never taught at school how to make money work for us. We were taught how to be slave to the system and how to be taxpayers. What? So this is why it is important that we need to teach our kids. How can we teach our kids when we ourselves don't know how? And it goes back to what I said at the beginning when we first, this morning, when we sit on that plane, and before the plane takes off, it says, your own oxygen mask on first before you can help others. You are useless to other people if you don't look after yourself first. So if you can't educate yourself, you can't help your family and your kids. And your excuses will never put an extra cent in your back pocket. And this is why we need to pull out finger, no more excuses. Does that make sense? Kelly says, can we please put the stock code at the top? INTC. Thank you, Nadia, for putting that out there. Now, the Zoomers were nice enough to send me text messages. Now, I heard Arash and a few others that came up. And, you know, Sonia and Dr. Sandra and Andrew, and there's all these people who have, you know, provided some amazing testimonials. And in fact, there's quite a few who nominated yourselves for Investor of the Year. So tomorrow night, we are going to announce the Investor of the Year. Wow. As I said, maybe I might go up and have a bit of a chat, and you won it last year. But can I just quickly read this text message that I was sent? Brent just sent me a text message. It says, my favourite saying, if you don't know where you want to go, any part there. Thank you. Who understands that? Shani, thank you, Shani, for sending me a text message who's on Zoom. The numbers are in, and I'm stoked. I joined in May 2024, learnt and paper traded until the 13th of December 24, and have made an amazing 35% return in my first year of live trading. Love your work and looking forward to the future with you, Shani. Well done, Shani. I'm proud of you. Give Shani a round of applause who's on Zoom. Brad sends me a text message, says, hey, George, love your boot camp. Just letting you know, I did 11% in a down market for November. 11% in a down market in November. And made 23,000 a month. A great start to retirement. Cheers, mate. So well done.
Well,
So, in fact, bear with me. Let's read one more. Simon was good enough. And some of you are sending me text messages. But hold on. Oh my gosh. Simon, even though I do not engage with the coaches much, I've been living my trading according to what you have been teaching me. I started live trading in March this year. From March to now, I've made 30% profit. My last trade where I was with a falling stock, I managed to clear 21.9%. Thank you so much for everything. Well done, Simon, and thank you for sharing that. Can I ask you something? I'm sure every single one of us wants to achieve a 30% return in the year. Right? Yes? Do we push past the hurdles that are stopping us and slowing us down? The little things like coaching hours and these sort of things that will frustrate us. Do we look past that? Because I will tell you another thing. And I'm not here to pick on anybody, but there is a student at the moment who renewed and has been with me. She's been with me for 4 years and renewed last renewal, but decided to own stock choice and reports. Stock choices and reports, right? So you've chosen to have stock choices and reports. Complain to the office that I don't have the app and I'm not getting the pings. But what did you pay for? What did you choose? Stock choices and reports. But I'm in a down at the moment. But hold on, the last 4 years and all the trades that you've done and all the text messages you've sent me of all this money you've made, you are now concentrating on this one stock that is down and you want to say we're bad people. So do you understand how people change? Don't look at the big picture. And I was saying before during one of the breaks, we talked about business and do you all agree when we go into business, we go months where we make money and then we still got to show up, don't we? Don't go, I'm not going to get any money this one. I'm going to sit on my ass and do nothing. I've still got to show up to the job. I've still got to show up, correct? This is a business. Treat it as a business. Make the money, get you to retirement. Then what do you do with the money you're making? Diversify. Giorgio, nice enough to come up. $120,000 in 1 month is what he's just last month. Imagine if you just did that for 1 month on 920 grand or 950. Now I want you to think about if you had 950 grand cash sitting right now and you went and bought a property in your area, would that property give you 120 a year? So even if it sits on a stock that's gone down and done nothing for a month or 2 or 3, who will be all right with that? Does that make sense? And that's what it's about. Now, and again, some of you came to me and said, George, I've got 150 grand, I've got 120 grand. I just want to spread the risk out. I want to do 10 trades with that. See, I don't like that. You want to know why? Because it's a little from here and a little bit from there. Like it all adds up, but you spread yourself out. Try to bring it more in to give you more income for smaller trades, smaller amounts. Do you all follow? There's nothing wrong with on 100, 120 grand doing 5 trades. Because there are some of you in this now who are trading with $1 million, 1.5, 2 million. Some of you in this room trading with 5 grand, 10 grand, 20 grand, 25, 30. And even those on Zoom. If you're trading with 20 and someone's trading with $1 million, The trades are the same. The more zeros we put in, the more zeros we pull out. Does that make sense? I can't buy one house and expect to retire off it and live off that income. I've got to buy 10, which means to buy 10, I need to put more in to get more out. Do you follow? How many Australians are sitting on equity? And when I repeat this, because I just need you to think outside the square. Have we got a trade right now that can make us some money? So how many Australians are on equity? They've got a house, it's gone up, the market's gone up. What if I took 50 grand from the bank, 20 grand from the bank, and said, you know what, I'm going to invest it. I got no cash at the moment, I'm cash strapped. And Jeff Online says, thank you for picking that up, Jeff, thank you. Jeff Online says, that's the fuel that Selena was talking about. How do we get ourselves to that early retirement lifestyle? I get money from the bank because I've got no cash at the moment. I borrow 20 grand, 50 grand. The rate that they're going to charge you is 6%. Do you reckon we can make 6% in the next few months? Can we do it in a few months? Yes, can we pay the bank off the interest in 2, 3, 4 months? And then whatever else you make is yours. Can I explain this to you? So we've got a fair few loans. So I'm heavily in debt. Right? I'm heavily in debt. We've got properties. We're in debt. But it's good debt. And one of my properties 3 weeks ago, I've got a Rams loan. I've got 2 Rams loans on. His Rams loan came up, 5 years, interest only, finished. I've gone from 2.59 to 6.9. So the interest to pay on that property has gone from about 3 grand to just over 10. How many Australians would be in a situation like that would flip because they don't have the money to pay the extra? So a lot of Australians right now are coming in this year and next year into a position where fixed interest, where they got it back in the day where it was 2.5, 2.6, their fixed interest is expiring. And if they don't quickly refinance, and even if you refinance, which is what I did, my interest rate is 5.99. How many Australians are going to struggle to be able to pay? Forget the 7s, even if you can get it at 5. Going from 2.5 to 5, have you just increased your income double to be able to cover that loan? Has your property given you extra income to cover that loan? So how many Australians are going to struggle, and how many more properties are going to come on the market, and people are going to need to sue? The bank's going to take it anyway. Who understands? So who understands what's coming up next year? Because the next one I got with Rams, which is in the same situation, is coming up next year. So how many properties are going to come on the market and people are going to be struggling to pay, and they're going to be pushing to get them sold so they don't come out, they don't debt or go bankrupt? Now, if we're cashed up and we see these opportunities because we've built cash, what can we do with that cash? Can we diversify? Right? This is the biggest thing you need to understand. Tough times are coming. People, property, there's going to be a turnaround. I'm not going to talk about, what I do want to bring up right now is the Dow Jones. Can we do a quick analysis of the Dow Jones? If you've got your computers open, great. If not, I'm going to bring it up on my screen. And this is what you need to look at. Can you all see the Dow Jones? Yes? Can you all see my trend lines? Are we channeling up at the moment?
Yes.
Is the Dow Jones right now above the 17? Yes. Where do you think it could possibly go to? Maybe up here, yes? Another thing also, I believe it'll get to about, have I not predicted to you that we will hit the 50,000 points on the Dow Jones. I've told you that. But what else is going to happen? It'll then come down. We have a potential head and shoulders on the Dow Jones, where the market comes up, comes down, comes up, comes down. It's coming back up again. Is that roughly what we're seeing on that chart? We've got that channel that we've drawn, but a head and shoulders is where a point in the market, before we have this information, is at a, but then we have a higher peak, and then it comes down, and then as it comes up, we may see it turn around. So this is what we call shoulders and a head. And then what happens is, should this turn around and not actually come up to that 48,750 mark or 40,000 mark, we can see this stock coming down, right? This is what we call a neckline, and this is what we call a neckline. You all see that? Let me just point this out. You can see it on that chart where the neck is. See a peak, but then we've got a higher peak, yes? So we've got the shoulder, we've got the head, we've got the bottom here and the bottom here. So there's our neckline. The distance from this point to the neckline is usually the distance to where it'll go, should this turn around and come down. If this comes up and goes above this point here, then we are good to go. There's no head and shoulders. But if it comes up to about this point or thereabouts, let's say 48 or 48, and then turns around and comes back down, that head and shoulders is valid. But the ADX is telling us right now it's positive territory moving up. So it's about watching. But now we're expecting the markets to come back up. The Dow Jones is telling us it's looking like it's coming back up. So I think we're going to close out strong this year. And what we've always seen over 25 years of being in the markets is what happens in January usually dictates what happens for the rest of the year. Did you all understand that? Zoomers, did you understand what I just said? What usually happens in January, from the start of January to the end of January, has the market gone up? Has the market gone down start of January to the end? And that will tell what's going to happen for the rest of the year. There are some years over the last few years where that hasn't happened because of, COVID and all this sort of stuff, lockdowns. But history has shown what happens in January dictates the rest of the year what happened. So I can tell you right now, there's a lot of eyes on the Dow Jones and on the markets that we don't know about. Okay? So, market analysis. At the moment, things are looking good. Next year, we are going to get enough times. Are we prepared? We need to. If the markets go down, are there strategies that we can apply in a falling market? Deep in the money is one. Yes? Covered puts is the other, which I will teach you. It is the opposite of a covered call. Okay? So, are we alarmed? No. Are we prepared? Yes. Do you all follow? Very, very important. Do we have any questions from the room first? And then the Zoomers, I'm going to come to you if you have any questions of what we've covered so far. 1 second. Can we grab a microphone? Hold on a second. Nicole, just here. Thank you. No, Sheree, back, one more back. All right, everybody, hold on. Let's listen to this question.
Hi, George.
Hello, Sheree. Stand up so everyone can see you.
No one needs to see me.
Come on.
I just want to know what the 17 is. What's the meaning?
The moving average 17.
Yeah.
It's just what's the meaning of 50? It's an average that the analysts use.
But why 17?
Why do you need to go deeper? Just use the 17. Is it above or is it below?
Okay, George.
Kiss. It doesn't have anything to do with anything. It's a rate that we use, and it's a rate that analysts use to dictate for short term, right? Is the stock up or down for short term? Do all of you understand when we look at a moving average 200, we're looking at the last 200 days?
What's your fucking $10?
Right? Because we want a long term, what are you doing?
Fucking cheaper than
When
a
we're
pig.
looking at 50, we're looking at the last 50 days. When we're looking at the 17, we're looking at the last 7 days. We're looking at the 17 days. See, I was using this before I now started to introduce it to the covered calls. With the rebels, what were we looking at for rebels? Short term, quick in and out. If it's above the 17, if we know it's going to be a quick in and out, we're going to make some money. You'll follow. It's just a shorter term analysis. It is what the banks and a lot of the analysts use. The history behind it, why 17, why not 18, why not 20? I've got no idea. 17, it doesn't matter. Stop it. Next question. Anyone else with a question? Lindy. Zoomers, get your questions ready.
When we receive a stock choice from you and it meets all the fundamentals of technical and analysis, and then it drops and we're holding it 2-3 years, is it no longer good stock? Does it still meet those aspects of technical and fundamental analysis?
When we got in, it did.
No, so we've got the stock, it's down here.
Yep.
And we've got it for a while, but when we got it, it met all the fundamentals and all the technical. So what is it classified as now? Is it a rotten stock or is it still a good stock?
Stocks go down because of various factors. It could be they didn't have a good earnings, a good report. The market's over down, so the stock is down. It could be something internally that happened, that one of the shareholders or one of the directors did something. There could be lots of. There's no answer, one direct answer for that.
Yep.
But if it's dead and we hold it, whatever the factor is, we need to get out of it. And how do we get out of it with a profit? Does that make sense? Right? So what can we do, whether it's the Greek offset, whether it's the, do we sell for a loss now, let it go down, buy it back in, average up? Because we don't have any more funds, what can we do? But we're in it now. It doesn't matter what's doing. Unless we look at it and we fundamentally that stock's a really, really shit stock, then we might say cut losses, take that money and let's move it somewhere else to recover what you've lost.
Yep.
Right? So this is why when I look at stocks that are down and the coaches tell me stocks are down, I will look at what's going on.
Yep. Okay.
Make sense?
Yep. And may I ask another question?
Yes.
Thank you. So if you're in a position,
2.5.
income is covering my life, so I'm happy with that at the moment. But if I've got some stocks, I'm thinking, oh, there could be some capital gain. I think I just might wait. That's not the right thing, is it?
Lydia, come up here for a second.
Smack me, go on.
I'm not doing that. I'm now going to put a bloody belt on. All right. Stop it. What do we tell her?
Thank you, I will stop.
No, you hold that. I've already got a mic. So Lindy I was in this room a few years ago, and Lindy, it was at a property seminar, and they did breakout rooms. So all the little rooms out there, they had all the different speakers, and I was talking stock market, while everyone else was talking surveying, commercial, property, and all that. And so Lindy came and listened to me speak. Just to cut a long story short, Lindy came and said, I've got this portfolio of shares I'm holding. Can I do this? I said, I'm not sure. We sat where the pole is just out there, and Lindy was talking to me. She was umming and ahhing, and Lindy ended up, saying, all right, I want to do this. I'm going to do this. I thought about it and I want to do this. And Lindy also came to Greece, the Greece boot camp. And you've done some decent results.
I have every turn's been positive.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah, but one challenge that I have had is that I had a good capital gain win, and on ASAN I did make $36,000.
Yep.
And although that was in January this year, and although that is good, and you're, God, she did that,
Yep.
it's actually caused me a problem because I've had this capital gain.
Pay tax on it.
Yeah, so I've had this win, I've had this capital gain, and now I'm down and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, oh, I think I'd like that to happen again. And so I've got this little quandary happening in my head where it's like, well, I'm a teacher. And I have an income that's paying for my life at the moment. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, oh, I just don't need the income right now. I might wait and get the capital gain. So I'm causing this problem for myself.
So you want to just hold these shares and do nothing with them and just wait for them to go up?
Well, this is what I'm thinking,
Or
and
could
I
you
know
not-
it's wrong.
Yeah.
No.
But I still do it.
But it's what I'm doing. I was like, stop it.
So you need to hit yourself. I don't even need to do it.
I know the answer to my own question.
Okay. You buy a house and just let it sit there and wait for it to go up in value because it's going up and it's a nice house and I think it's going to go up, so I'll just wait.
Anyway, I asked the question because perhaps there are some other people that may have the same question.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do we say to the other people? Stop it! Thank you. Any other questions? All right, online. The question is, are you going to be covering the charting on Zoom tomorrow? No. When we do it at the when we do it in August, not sure yet. It's too far away for me to think about. Okay. Is there a minimum amount to start with? I'm just beginning the journey. What's the minimum amount that I say? 2,000 to 5,000 USD. Yes, preferably 5. Excellent. It says, wondering why coaches sometimes don't set up a put when writing a call, why we don't always do. We don't always buy a put, because it's up to you whether you want it or not, and it depends on the quantity of shares that you have. Because if you're only to 10 grand, to you whether you want to have a put, but if it's over 10 grand, what do we say? Preferably have it for peace of mind. Does that make sense? I haven't even finished the question. Be correct. All right. Now, okay. Can you tell us about covered puts? Or if we need to do it if the market goes down? For the moment, you don't need to worry about it. Can we do covered calls normally in this market? Can we do covered calls with the money in this market? Do we need to worry about covered puts? Do we need to go on YouTube and start looking it up and start doing research? I'm going to check your search engines. Stop it. All right. You all know every year I like to take people to Greece. Ronnie says, George, thank you, mate, for today. Massive round of applause for yourself and the team. Thank you, Ronnie. I appreciate it. How should we use the 17 with respect to the 50 and the 200? Who can answer that question? How do we use the 17 in relation to the 50 and the 200? The same way. Is the stock above the 200? Is the 50 above the 200? Is the stock above near the 17 and 50? Yes. Do you all follow? Who said no? Follow. Thank you. All right. So 2026 Greece Boot Camp is coming up. And there is an opportunity for you guys to join me in Greece. A couple of things. You get first before I go out to the whole database. So you get first choice. Does not guarantee you a position, no. Because for next year, you need to complete a questionnaire and tell me why you deserve to be there. The thing that I need to discuss with all of you Oscar has made this comment. She is incorrect, but I'm going to read this out. He says, if there's 245 of us online and about 200 in the boot camp, if we all put 10 grand into the market, it's over $4 million. If all of us are putting in trades, we would be driving or skewing the market. It really doesn't understand how big the market is. Because at $4 million, we don't even make a dent in the market. And in fact, if you knew how much money our organisation has in the market, you could be considered one of the largest fund managers in Australia. But I don't want to go there. But we don't even make a dent in the market. So Oscar, even at $4 million that you just spoke about, we don't make a dent in the market. Because to the market, that's like us talking about having a... Just so you know. Okay? Sampath is asking, but he keeps repeating himself. He's asking, we did talk about taking losses and buying later if the stock goes down, part of the average, you know, when I talked about averaging down. Can you please share the strategy? Will, at a later date. Not now. All right. Greece 2020 boot camp. Next year, it's a 23-day. This year was 15 days. Last year was 21. The year before that was 20. Next year is 23 days. I've incorporated new islands, new places, and new adventures. The only thing I don't have at the moment is an actual physical price, because they are still pricing purely because half of the hotels that we need to book in September next year already. And my travel guys overseas are still trying to lock in places close to in. So I just want to share something with you and share this with you, and then I'll explain what needs to be done if it's something you are considering and something you want to do. Because I'm giving you all the opportunity first to be able to, bear with me. Oh gosh, I thought I had it here. 1 second. So, where is my little video? Just bear with me while I just unswitch that so I can find this little video. Okay, how many places? The question. Whoops. Can I just ask this? There it is there. No, I want that. There it is, that's what I want. Can I just ask? In fact, can I just read this out? Bear with me now, my computer, I've clicked too many buttons. Okay. Just can I get you to all to listen to this for a second? Just Michael G. Michael still online. Michael, who came this year to Greece. Michael, who came this year to Greece, has actually put on Zoom. My 25 ROI, and in regards to the rebel covered calls, for those people who are considering the rebel covered calls, is after 1 year's subscription of paying $948 Australian for the year, I've made a total of 38,656 AUD on an investment to outlay to do the rebels of 948. That's a 40 times ROI. So well done. Michael in Greece this year, as well as a few others, not only made the money back on the cost to do the tour with me, plus more. So what's it worth being around like-minded people, exploring, seeing, being adventurous, but also meeting like-minded people. These people right here are my Greece boot campers. And they've made lifetime friendships because we all agree. Yes. You can't put a price on that. Does that make sense? So, this is what I'd like to play, if it's okay. It's a couple of minutes. I just want you. It's about 5 minutes.
So most amazing experience here in Greece. Can't believe the places we've gone. We've gone places that are not on the tourist route. We've gone to George's hometowns, 2 of them. We've seen his homes in Greece. We've been to Catalonia, and we have traded all the way around. I have covered my trip over here. I have covered my spending money over here. It's been absolutely incredible. Thank you so much, George. This is an incredible program. It helps me to keep the cash flow going so I can keep my property fund happening. And without cash flow, there is no property. So.
That is so beautiful. So beautiful.
Thank you, George, and the Focus Beyond team for the most amazing trip. I've never experienced anything like this, and combine that with training and trading, it doesn't get better than this. As far as my trades go, I've made enough money on this trip to pay for my trip and my spending money, so amazing. Thank you so much.
So we just did our first swim. How was it?
Absolutely fantastic. The water, beautiful. Pictures don't express how amazing it is.
What did you think?
Amazing.
Amazing?
The water, the colour, and the feeling awesome.
I know. There we are. We're just taking off from the first beach, heading over to the next beach. And even though it's overcast and we did get rain before, nothing stops us from swimming. Here's our big swimmer, Michael. Michael's one of my students. He's just made for this week. How much did you make this week?
About 8,000 Aussie.
About 8,000 Aussie. Fucking that's what life is about, eh?
Always.
On the holidays.
G'day, George, and listeners. It's Michael from Sydney North. George has had me in his team for about 4 years now, September 21 when I joined. I went live January 22, 100 grand, and in 8 weeks I paid off the first year's membership with the trading profits. Next month put another 200 grand in because I had such confidence in the system that it's worked, it's efficient, it's safe, and it's just unbelievably profitable. I doubled my money in 3 years. What this has given me as a role now, but I'm a tradie. I semi-retired 18 months ago, so 57 and a half. I choose what jobs I do now because I don't need to earn so much money with my hands. This trade, this business lets me make money from anywhere, where I'm on mountain biking holidays or here in Greece. This Greece experience has just been profound. A group of people, like-minded people, but from so many different walks of life, gelled from the day we all met each other. And it's the experience of seeing Greece with George and Nina, it's just been absolutely amazing, life-changing. Thanks very much, George, and you're never going to get rid of me, mate. I'm in your team forever.
All right, so this is what I need. Just pause that. Beautiful. Lights on. If anyone's interested, you need to scan that QR code. There is a questionnaire you need to complete. And for 40 people, you'll have the opportunity to join me next year. At the moment, what is the cost? Well, in fact, I shouldn't even use the word cost. It's an investment. What is the investment? I don't have a proper actual figure. It's going to be 18 to 20 grand. That's 23 days. That includes flights, accommodation, most meals, or tours, boat trips, and everything else. So between 18 to 20 grand is what the AUD is what it's going to be per person. So if anyone is interested, scan the QR code. And then you fill in the details, and I will come back to you this week by end of Friday with a full proper itinerary and a proper pricing. So bear in mind, it includes costs of flights, accommodations, meals, and all tours. Okay, not all meals, most meals, because you do get some flights. And in fact, this year, we didn't have many free nights because there was a rush and a cramp to try and get everything done. So you'll get some free time away from me as well. So for those of you that are interested, the QR codes, scan them. I will include it in the email, but also bear in mind that by Friday, you will have the opportunity to fill in the details. And if there are 40 of you or more, you will get first choice. If not, then I will open it up to the whole database and then they will come in. Partner-wise, some of you might say, oh, can my partner come? At the moment, no. If your partner is not in the community, your partner cannot join. If we have spare spots, your partner will have the opportunity to, if there are spare spots. Also, one other thing. There will be 1, 2, or 3 single rooms only. Next year, it's sharing a room with a stranger, unless you're bringing your wife or your partner who is in the community. So you will be sharing with another member in a room, because we cannot provide single rooms because there's no room. So just keep that in mind. I'd love to share Greece with you. And if you talk to the people from Greece here who've done it, I mean, what would you say? Oppa! Is it worth doing? Money we can always get back, but the memories that we've all built together, we can never lose it. Does that make sense? Alrighty. So, Rhonda says, I made a great friend sharing a room. The dates. What are the dates? Can you all please write this down? We are leaving, I believe it's a Wednesday. It's the 2nd of September. We are leaving 2nd of September. And we fly out of Greece on the 23rd, Friday the 23rd of September. No, it's 25th. Friday the 25th, my apology, Friday the 25th. 2nd to the 25th. If anyone is from overseas and says, George, can I attend, but I don't need to fly, or I want to do my own flights, no problem at all. I can give you the land component, bless you, without the flights. So you can let me know. I will put all that in an email, but you need to complete the online questionnaire, and then I will provide you the complete component and land component at the flights as well. Are we all? Ladies and gentlemen, we are done. Zoomers, can I say to all of you, each and every one of you, a big thank you. Look out for the email and look out for the link. Don't go anywhere, you guys in this room. We are not done. We are not done. Zoomers, we are done with you. You guys can, wherever you are. Marina, thank you for Greece. Joanne, thank you for being on. It is probably